So before I start, just a little background. Hold on, I need my clicker. Okay, I'm good. My name is Michelle Paitich. I am at Salesforce. I'm the director of AppExchange Partner Success. So this session is all about the story of the AppExchange, how we've grown it, and what we've done to get to where we are today, and then a little bit about where we think we're going to go. Okay? So for anybody who has seen a Salesforce presentation before, you might be familiar with a forward-looking statement. Just a quick note from our lawyers that we're all going to read through together. This just says, when making any purchasing decisions about Salesforce or any other solutions, just make all purchasing decisions based on products that are currently available. So, quick disclaimer. All right, so a little bit of background about the AppExchange. This is the world's #1 business app marketplace. So today we have over 3,000 apps, and across those apps, these have been installed over 4 million times. And then we have an ecosystem of over 300 components. Now, in addition to all of that, this is a place where our customers are going to purchase these apps. So for any potential customers, there are 60,000 peer reviews. And this is super useful for anyone who is trying to figure out which app might be a good fit for them. But the other part that we've found is these are reviews that are great treasure troves and secrets of tips and tricks for how different businesses have used these apps and solutions in all kinds of different ways to solve their business challenges. These are apps that are all reviewed by Salesforce. They're all screened, so they go through a rigorous process. Trust is a huge thing for Salesforce. It's our #1 corporate value. So before anything, any components or any apps that can be listed on the AppExchange, they must go through this process. And that just makes it faster for our customers when they're vetting, because they know everything's safe and secure, so whatever they install, it's all going to be fine. Now, in addition to the ability to sell on the AppExchange, this is also a great place for our partners to scale their businesses. So there's a huge community, very active customers that are there. And they're customers that I'm sure you guys run into as well. They totally run the gamut. They're across every industry. They are small mom and pop shops all the way up to huge Fortune 1000 enterprises. And half of all traffic to the AppExchange is international. So for any partner that's thinking about expanding into other markets, I have these conversations with partners on a pretty regular basis. This is a great way just to test out new markets without having to actually set up shop and hire a bunch of people in a new location. In addition to that, since these customers are every shape and size, partners that are building on the Salesforce platform and launching and selling on the AppExchange, they're able to scale to any customer size. So these partners, no matter how big they are, whoever they're selling to, they can appear much larger than they actually are. So let's take a little bit of a trip back in time. We launched the AppExchange in 2006 with fewer than 70 apps. And only half of those were apps that were built by our partners. The other half or what we call Salesforce Lab apps, so built by people on the Salesforce team. And it took us 6 years after 2006 to get to 1 million installs, which was a huge milestone for us at the time. But then things, in how we see it happening all the time, things continue to accelerate. So it only took 2 years after that for us to get to 2 million installs, and another 18 months to get to 3 million installs. And for anyone who focuses on branding, you can see all our logos across the bottom and all the different iterations as we've gotten to where we are today. So major milestones we hit last year. It was a big year for us. In January, we celebrated the 10th birthday of the AppExchange. So we had a big birthday party for Salesforce customers, for partners, and for Salesforce employees. And we had that here, we're headquartered here, so we had a huge party, but we also do something called Event in a Box. So any of our partners or customers or other Salesforce offices that also wanted to have a birthday celebration could do a similar kind of event no matter where they were around the world. And for every install that happened on that day, we donated $10 to Girls Who Code. So after that, in September, we hit another milestone for installs. We hit 4 million installs. We did another event in a box, did a huge PR push, had all kinds of partner blogging about this, and a lot of this was a huge social media push for us. And what we saw was, with the social media push, we saw an increase of 200% for engagement for views, and then an increase in 100% for our followers. The other thing that happened in September was this IDC report came out about the Salesforce economy. And what they said was, if we take a look 5 years from now in 2020, they're saying that for every dollar that Salesforce makes, $4 will be made by our partners and by the ecosystem. So they're projecting that in 5 years, this is going to be a $400 billion market opportunity. And these are apps for everyone. Salesforce started as sales. That was our first product. Now we're across sales, service, marketing. We do analytics. We have Communities Cloud. But when we started it, you can imagine that a lot of the first apps that were built were all about sales. And today, there are about 1,000 apps for sales on the AppExchange. But it's a whole lot more than that now. So now we have apps that go across clouds and for every user, whether they're in sales, marketing, HR, admin, finance, you name it. And more than 300 of these apps are Salesforce One Mobile. A number of our partners, DocuSign, Financial Force, LinkedIn, they all have mobile solutions, but Salesforce customers, one of the things we talk about all the time is the ability to run their business from their phone. So in order to facilitate that, we built the Salesforce One Mobile app, so our customers could log in from their phones at any time and have access to their data. But if they are also using some of our apps, if a partner has a mobile solution, then sure, they can go to that mobile solution. But if an app is Salesforce One Mobile ready, a customer doesn't have to leave that app to go do something else. Everything can happen within Salesforce because that's where they're going to want to log a lot of this data anyway. So we have more than 300 that customers can search for. They all have a slash Salesforce One Mobile. And there are more than 300 Lightning-ready apps. Lightning is our new user interface. So it's fully customizable for any user who wants to just see the stuff that they care about the most. But since it's a new user experience, our apps need to be Lightning ready so that it's a seamless interface for our customers. So we have more than 300 that are also Lightning ready. And customers all over the place love AppExchange apps. More than, 89% of Fortune 100 companies have at least one AppExchange app. And more than 83% of Salesforce customers have at least one AppExchange app installed. And this is just a good use case, something that we love to see from our customers. Akamai is a customer of ours based out of Boston. They're like a lot of companies that are growing very quickly. They're hiring sales teams around the globe, and they need a way to keep these teams connected, productive, and continuing to accelerate growth and be really successful. So what they did is they went to the AppExchange to have a complete demand gen solution. So they got 8 apps from the AppExchange to address their demand gen needs, from getting leads, managing their opportunities. And then even beyond that, they actually have 43 apps across their org, taking anything that was manual, anything that was taking up a lot of time from their teams, so that they can all just be a lot more productive. So that's where we've been. Let's talk a little bit about where we're going and what we're going to do to continue growing the AppExchange. One of the things I mentioned before about components is Today, customers still want apps. We know that customers are still downloading apps, and that's something that they will continue to do. But things are also shifting a little bit. So our customers are now building a lot of apps that they want to fully customize on their own. And in order to facilitate that, they're asking for bots, they're asking for components, they're asking for data sets. They want complete apps, but they also want the ability to build them on their own. So today, we do have the components category I mentioned with about 300 apps. But with the recent Haywire acquisition, we'll be launching bots very soon. And this is great because for customers, they don't need a developer to do all of this stuff. It's all drag and drop, so they can manage all of this on their own. And the other thing is, back to the mobile experience, we created a mobile app for the AppExchange. So customers can go, do a search, see the mobile version of the AppExchange from their phone, but they're not going to download apps on their phones. They're not going to go to the AppExchange to do that from their phones. They're going to go back to their computer and install it there. So we had to rethink that a little bit, and where we're going now is we want to engage with customers. We want to be where they are, and where they are is they're on the go on their phones all the time, but we have to have content that they can actually engage with and that's relevant. So we're investing more in paid social and in display ads, but we're also creating a lot of awareness and thought leadership content that they can interact with at any time and share with their teams. And we're also embedding the customer experience at every step of the journey. Some of the feedback we've heard is customers get to the AppExchange and they don't necessarily know what to do when they get there. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of categories. There are 11 industries listed there and more industries that aren't listed. So there's a lot to go through. I just had this conversation with someone today. So what we've done to facilitate this in an easier way for customers is we've started curating content collections. So you can go to appexchangecontent.com, and we have a lot of content from our partners, from Salesforce experts, from industry leaders, so that customers can search for content and interact with the content that's most relevant to them and look for the apps that will help them in the best way. And we're also creating new ways to show apps to customers. We know that customers have limited time. They want to see more app demos, but their time's limited. And we know that it's way more powerful for us to show them what an app can do for them than to tell them what an app could do for them. So we have perfected what we like to call the demo jam. What we do is we invite 6 companies to demo their apps. They each get 3 minutes. If they have any technical difficulties, that's just going to eat into their time. And they have 3 minutes to go through the demo. For anybody who's in the audience, we do real-time voting. And then someone's declared the winner. And the winner gets bragging rights. And we do a lot of social media marketing around this, not only for the event, but also around the winner. These events are both in person and online. Some of them are at third-party events as well. And they're co-led by some of our community MVPs, so it's really bringing together the whole Salesforce ecosystem. And these have gotten so popular that this year we're doing 80 demo jams just from demand. And it's gotten so popular that our Salesforce strategic events team is now asking for these because they want to have all different ways to keep customers engaged. So what better way to keep them engaged than to show them relevant content? They get to vote. So it ends up being a great experience for everyone. We also want to educate prospective SaaS partners. Companies want to know what it means to join the Salesforce ecosystem and to become a partner without having to actually join up front. Today, partners go to the partner community, they fill out a form, but they want to have the information before they get there. So to facilitate that, we've launched Inside the Salesforce Ecosystem, and these are blogs not only from folks at Salesforce, but also from partners, to educate prospective SaaS partners before they have to make any decision about whether or not they're going to list on the AppExchange. And you guys could go there too. The other thing we want to do is streamline the onboarding journey for partners, from idea, when they first think about what they want to build, all the way through to when they list on the AppExchange, and then beyond that. Partners have given us the feedback that it's challenging to onboard to the AppExchange and to know where to go. So we're streamlining that whole journey. We're making it more transparent, and that's for any partner type, whether they're integrating an existing app or building an app fully native on the Salesforce platform. And that's it, you guys. So this is where you can find me. It's my email, where you can find me on Twitter. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. Or to the break, either way. So the question was, if there's a brand new app on the AppExchange, how do you go about soliciting reviews? I tend to think of this as a garden that you have to cultivate. And so my recommendation to partners that are listing is I build it into the sales cycle with them. So after a sale is closed and there's an SOW, the handoff has happened to the implementation team, and the customer is fully onboarded and you're tracking usage metrics to know customers are engaging with the app, they're logging in, all of the licenses are being used. I give that a little bit of time, like at least 90 days probably, and then at the end of that I would automate a request asking them for a review, asking if we know the customer's happy, ask them for a customer success story that you could post on your website. Maybe at some point that turns into a video. But that's a huge part of how we market, is having our customers market for us and telling that customer story. So I always build it into that process. And for new partners that are joining, automating as much of that as possible can facilitate a lot of that.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah, hi.
Larry Angelade, Amplifinity's CEO. We have an app. We have our app on the AppExchange. My question to you is, Salesforce does a nice job providing opportunities for companies on the AppExchange to promote their products. A number of those are paid. Can you give us some sense of what's working now? What have you seen work relative to the marketing opportunities that you've provided to your partners?
Great question. So just in case anyone didn't hear it, what's working for marketing opportunities with our partners? The feedback we get from partners of what seems to be working the best for them, I mean, I could say what I think is great, but what partners have said back to us is we have a co-marketing program that we do with our partners where they see a huge increase in traffic to their AppExchange listing, traffic to their websites, and our partners love to sponsor our events. So I think those are two of the big things that our partners do. The thing where I think partners are the most successful is not only when they're doing the storytelling that I mentioned before, but telling the story. There are different value propositions at play here. So there's one value proposition for our partners that are going direct to their customers, what they're selling. And then there's another value proposition for if our partners want to sell to Salesforce customers. So telling that broader story about how an app extends what a customer's already doing with Salesforce, or how a couple of apps together extend that. If partners are selling to the Salesforce ecosystem, that becomes, they're speaking the language that customers are used to, and that becomes a pretty powerful story. Yeah.
Thanks. We've talked a lot about ISVs, but can you talk a little bit about some of your SIs and consultants and some of those service-oriented partners that are inside AppExchange? I looked the other day, there was about 800 pages worth of consultants. Obviously, like Accenture's in the first box, but 800 pages later, like there's plenty of people there. A lot of people here are thinking about channels.
Yeah.
And these are the kinds of technical folks that we might want to align with. Like, how do we sort our way through that and think about what kind of services these people can offer? Some of us have Salesforce apps. Some of us just want to integrate closer with Salesforce.
Totally.
Thoughts on that?
Yes, so this is a great question, and I have to admit I have always been on the ISV side of the house, but that's definitely something we should take offline. And what I do want to say here is there are a couple of different things to look for. When I talk to the SI team, it depends on what you need an SI to do. So they all get certified. So understanding how different SIs are certified across different Salesforce products and which industries, those two are key ways to narrow it down. And the other way to narrow it down is by a geographic region. So knowing where they are. If you want to extend to another geographic region, then finding an SI somewhere else can be a great opportunity to go to market in a new region. But if you are looking for someone that's where you are, then you want to narrow it down that way as well. I talk a lot with, I'm talking with someone on my team right now about building a program to align ISVs that want to partner with other ISVs and integrate with them, and also SIs. So developing that broader channel strategy. And one of the things we've talked about is this sometimes happens at events. Organically, there are networking events. And we're looking at how can we, I don't know, turn this into like speed dating on the partner community so that partners can talk about who they sell to and in what regions and try to find alignment that way. But let's definitely talk about it offline, and I can introduce you to the right folks internally so that you can understand the right way to navigate. Sure. Cool? All right. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Michelle.